Welcome into another episode of The Developing Medium. Today on the podcast, we have a fascinating interview with Jonathan Mark. Jonathan Mark is a renowned psychic medium known for his ability to connect individuals with their loved ones who have passed away. Jonathan knew at a young age that he had these abilities when he spoke to his mother about his aunt, who had passed away when Jonathan was just a child, and gave information about her that he would have no other way of knowing. For years, he didn't develop these skills and even wanted to pursue a career in law enforcement. However, around the age of 20, his mother went to a medium herself and verified that his gifts were valid. He began to lean into his mediumship and work with a mentor. Over time, Jonathan has become one of the most sought-after mediums, providing readings to a diverse clientele, including celebrities, first responders, veterans, and any individuals seeking closure. In addition to his private readings, Jonathan collaborates with law enforcement agencies such as the FBI, the NYPD, and many more to assist in solving cases. Notably, he contributed to high-profile cases like the Gabby Petito investigation and the Gilgo Beach murders, offering insights that have aided in these investigations. Jonathan also hosts the podcast Connect with Jonathan Mark, where he delves into the world of the unseen, offering solace and connection to both celebrities and everyday individuals. The podcast features celebrity guests and updates on compelling true crime cases, providing listeners with an exclusive peek into Jonathan's life and work. This interview was huge for me. And in fact, you can probably hear my nerves and feel my nervous energy throughout the entire thing. I've been a fan of Jonathan's for quite some time. I listen to his podcast every week and have always respected how professional he keeps things and how mindful he is of the people he's working with. It can't be easy working with victims and their families and seeing the gruesome things he does every day, but he always manages to keep a cool demeanor and he always acts very respectful with the families. Initially, I was told he had 20 minutes to speak because of his busy schedule. But when I was told that, he only had 20 minutes because he was willing to give me time while he was on vacation with his family. It just shows the kind of guy he is, willing to give whatever he can whenever he can. Luckily, that date didn't work out because we ended up chatting for about 45 minutes and I had and still have so many questions for him. I find his line of work absolutely fascinating. Sometimes people that work with celebrities can have a little bit of an attitude, but that wasn't Jonathan at all. I fully expected him to be in a rush and moving forward, and he was very relaxed and calm the entire time. I was impressed with how laid back he is for all the stressful work he does. I really enjoyed interviewing him, and I hope you all learned something new from him just like I did. This is Caitlin Kennedy, host of the Developing Medium podcast, a podcast dedicated to learning about yourself, spirit, and ways to connect with the other side. I'll give you helpful tips and tricks to make you feel more confident in yourself and your abilities while also sharing my journey of mediumship. Get ready to get connected. Hi, Jonathan. Thank you so much for coming in today. I know everyone's very excited to hear from you. I've been kind of alluding to who's coming on, but I haven't, just in case things haven't worked out, I haven't told anyone. But we talk about you on the podcast, so I know everyone's going to be really excited.
Oh my God, thank you for having me, and I hope all good things. I hope all good things.
Of course, you're a very well-known name at this point, and I know, in the introduction we talked a little bit about how you kind of realized that you were a medium, and you had a specific mentor that helped you, but is there anyone that really helped you with your mediumship, or any classes you took, any books that really worked for you?
Yeah, so you're gonna laugh at this, just like I kind of laugh at it when I even say this. But my mom was like the biggest help for me, and the reason why, aside from her being awesome and supportive, I always tell people like practice makes perfect. I feel like with whatever you do, just like harnessing this gift, it's you need to practice on people. So my mom was such a big advocate of bringing people that I've never met from like her job and like friends of friends. So when I was like trying to develop this into like really like a full-time thing, she would bring in friends that I've never met before, and there would just be a constant people coming in and coming out. And it was funny because my dad and my brother are also like my biggest supporters. I'm super close with them, but they're super analytical. Like they work finance jobs and stuff. And they were just like, like at first, people in my family, not my brother and my dad, were like, don't encourage him to do this. Like, don't encourage him to do this. But then my dad and my brother would see people come in and then leave crying like constantly. And they were like, there's something to this. And then everything kind of changed. So I have to give credit to my mom, because when people were telling her that and her bringing people in, she was like, screw him. Like, I'm just going to do it. And I know he has something, and let's see what happens.
Wow. So it really was just you practicing over and over.
Yeah.
That's really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I always tell people like, I wish I could write like a 10 step how people have like 10 steps and stuff. Like I wish I could like break it down, but the only thing that I can attest, like what I'm like with this, it's like time and practicing on people. That's like my thing. I'm like, people ask me all the time, they're like how did you do this? I'm like, honestly, I wish I knew. I'm like, I kind of wish I knew. I'm like, I don't. And I, quite frankly, I was like, for a long time, I didn't even want to do this. I'm like, I didn't even want to do this. So it was like such a weird thing. Such a weird thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of what this podcast is about. It's kind of giving people like a general like how
Yeah.
to without being too structured
Yeah.
because there is no real structure with it. But
No.
I feel like everyone goes through that, and I feel like the biggest issue for people usually is practice because people are so afraid of getting things wrong. Were you ever worried, or still to this day, are you ever concerned that spirit won't show up for you, or do you ever like doubt yourself?
So people are going to laugh at this, but I've been doing this for quite some time now. But every time I have a reading, even just before this, I get a panic attack before. I always get panic attacks before readings. I get anxiety and everything because I always want to perform. I know that's a weird term to use, but I always want to show up for people and like give them everything I got, but I want them to have the reading that like they heard it from or whatever. And to that, like I don't get nervous about spirit not coming. What I do get nervous about, which is I think other mediums may understand what I'm talking about, including yourself, is maybe it's not the spirit or the person that the person who you're reading wants to hear from, because that becomes a huge problem. And I think, when people say to us, they're like, do spirits never come? It's like, no, they do. However, it may not be the person or persons that they want. So then the entire reading means nothing to the person who you're doing it to because they're like, I only want to hear from X, Y, and Z. I don't really care about this person, but they're neglecting such a powerful message coming through from that person to them, maybe to someone else. And that's what I get stressed out about too. Like I'm like I get so in my head about it. It's kind of pathetic for me.
That makes perfect sense. I feel like sometimes spirit can also just give you anxiety. I know when I was
Yeah.
first starting, like before reading, I knew when they were there because I was so
Mm-hmm.
extra anxious.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is
Yeah.
unbelievable. I can't believe how I feel right
Yeah.
now.
Always. Yeah.
I'm like shaking. I'm like
I'm like sweating before they come, even before the reading. I'm like drenched in sweat, and they're like, "Why are you wearing a sweatshirt?" And that's like another thing. I don't know if this happens to you, but I get drenched in sweat from readings. Like I will never do a reading without a sweatshirt on. Like every reading I do, no matter what I do, sweatshirt is on. Because I'm like, I don't want people to see me sweat. And like, I know sweatshirt will make me sweat more. Like, I do get that.
but it covers it.
It does. That's right. That's right. Like any TV thing I do, I wear black most of the time because I don't want people to see. Like it's I'm so in my head about it. I don't know why. I really don't know why.
Well, I get it because even as I was talking to my friend about, he set up some lights for me for this, and he was
Yeah.
like, "What color are you wearing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna be nervous. I'm wearing black." Like this is.
Yeah. I'm like I'm wearing dark blue, so like
Yeah.
I'm wearing navy blue. Like you're
You
not
got
gonna
it.
see. Yeah.
Even when I record, and I'm doing readings on the podcast, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wear black because it's the same thing. And it's interesting because when I'm on planes or in public,
Mhm.
I feel like a chill when spirits around me.
Dude.
But when I'm giving readings, I'm sweating.
Oh my
So
god.
I
when
totally understand.
I when I'm in public and I'm at like a concert, a bar, whatever, like, and it's not a bar because I'm drinking and whatever. Like I'm sweating because there's so many spirits in there, and I'm like, they're all like they're not all like poking me, being like, talk to this person, talk to this person. I just know that they're there, and it's very it's I'm grateful for this, but it's very like overwhelming when I'm just trying to have a drink with friends. Like, I'm like pouring sweat, like the AC's on. I'm like, I know, man. I'm like, but I can't help it. Like, can't help it.
Yeah, you're like they're always there, and they always, once they see someone that can communicate, they're like, oh, but can you just go say hi to this
Yes.
one and that one? You're like, yeah, I just enjoy my drink? And
Yeah,
maybe in 10
yeah.
minutes.
Can I just have my beer first and then I'll do it? Like, yeah.
So I know you were saying earlier that you didn't really have like a 10 step to how you started, but do you have a process? Because you do so much. You do,
Mhm.
from what I've heard in other
Yeah.
podcasts and even your podcast,
Yeah.
you go to scenes sometimes you don't know where you're going, or
Mhm.
you'll speak to victims' families to try to connect, and sometimes you do celebrity readings.
Yeah.
So like, do you have a different process for each one, or is it all
Yeah.
the same? Like, do you sit in the power like a typical medium does, or do you do anything to like set yourself and get ready?
So to get ready, what I do, I meditate before, which is like, it's hard for me to do that because like I feel like my mind races so much. So I try to meditate as best as I can, but people are gonna make fun of me, but it's fine. So my aunt passed away when I was a kid, like and that's who I like use as like my spirit guide, whatever people want to call that, right? And she loved this song "Crazy for You" from Madonna, so I put that song on repeat for like 5 minutes, and before I do anything, and it's super silly, and I know it is, and you're looking at me like, why are you listening to Madonna? I know, trust me, and especially that song too. But like, it's apparently it's my aunt's favorite song, and I like listened to it before, and I think when I approach those readings, like whether it's celebrity or true crime or whatever, I approach it the same way, but how I do my readings are very different for them. Like it's interesting because like in the beginning I would just do the readings how I would do for every single thing. Like it would be like the same reading relatively like style wise for each one, but now because I read the celebrities, and I do true crime and I do everyday people like me, you, my mom, my dad, whoever, just not like the A-list people, whatever. Um, I really try to go about it differently. Like it's gonna sound stupid, so like trust me, I overthink. I'm very tough on myself with this. Like so when I do a celebrity, and I'm sure you know this too, because I'm sure celebrities reach out and stuff, they all like collectively who reach out are into this, right? So they've done this with other mediums before, and most of the time when they do with other mediums will post the experience about it, so then who they spoke to, right? So like how I go into it is I'm like I'm gonna pull in the most random person that they like don't even like think of. Like I'll pull in their makeup artist when they first started working or something like that, or like their trainer when they were like 18 going into like whatever. And I do that because not because I don't want to connect to their family members. I'm like it's already been done by like four other people and it's been public about it, so I try to go about things very differently with readings. And I'm sure you deal with this too when you're dealing with someone who you're reading that's like a public figure or whatever. With the podcast, it's like they don't want a lot of their personal stuff out there. Like they are very like you'll say some stuff and their publicist or they'll just be like cut it out. And you're like, well, that's the whole meat of the reading. Like that's like the very intimate thing that you want cut out. And so that has happened quite a few times with me when I went on other people's podcasts that are very big. They cut out like very big parts of the reading, and then it makes the reading sound very generic. And people are like, it's a generic reading, and it's like, but it's not because you're missing that part. But with true crime, I go into it basically. Always want to give them closure first. Like I always want to do that. That's my thing. And then I go into keeping a case open, finding DNA or a new lead. Those are my three things. So I try to hit that every time. And that's kind of how I go into like those types of readings. But like I meditate, listen to Crazy for You like 5 times or 3 times, whatever. And then I just go into it. I try to blank my mind out. That's like the biggest thing.
Now, do you ask spirit? Because I know you're supposed to kind of let spirit control
Mm-hmm.
everything. So do you ask spirit? Do you say, like, I'm looking for something to help this family get closure,
Mm.
DNA or a new lead or something, and does spirit help in that way?
What's funny is I don't, and I probably should because it make my life so much easier, probably. But I don't because I want to make it organic for the both of like for myself, the family, and law enforcement. Like it has to be organic for everyone, and I feel like if I'm doing it like that, even though those are the three things I really look for when I do it, I let whatever's going to keep the case open or a new lead or whatever kind of happen within that reading. So if it is a new lead or if it is DNA, then like that's the premise of the reading. And most of the times those readings are like 20 minutes, 15 minutes. They're not long, because the family and the law enforcement side, like they don't want to sit for a long time. They're like, we want to like get this and go. Like we want to do this and go. So I always feel like I have to go so fast sometimes. So like I don't even think. Like that's like a huge thing.
What I think is amazing is that you you've found like this kind of niche within things,
Yeah.
to be able to speak to, like, the law enforcement
Mm-hmm.
and the family side of things. Um, what I love that you do on your podcast is that you were saying like sometimes you have to redact things, but I know when I was listening to the one with Gabby Petito's mom, you
Mm-hmm.
said to her, you were like, "There's more information, but I'm going to give it to you in private." Like I like that you kind of respect everything
Yeah.
about for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Thank you.
But it must have been very interesting when you first started to also have those moments of, I don't want to say self-doubt, but like I'm still very new in my mediumship.
Yeah,
I'm still learning. So I like when someone validates what I'm telling them. I
100%.
like need that.
Yep.
So for you, it must be interesting. Like you must really trust yourself because you're giving information that you don't know, you can't validate at that time.
Yeah.
Is that ever a challenge?
You know what? It is a huge challenge because I fall into the category of like I want to hear the validation to some extent too, and you know I go with these cold cases, unsolved missing people, whatever, knowing that only 50% will be like validated really, and the other 50 won't. But I always try to go in like hoping that I hear validation like weeks or a month later. So like I kind of go into it. I'm like, okay, they're gonna take what I say and look into it, and I'll find out right or wrong or indifferent, whatever. But I'm the same way as you. I think in with like general readings too, where I want the validation of like what I'm saying, and a lot of times I don't know if you experience this, but a lot of times they don't say anything to me. They just sit there and they look at me, and I'm like, I get it. Like I get you don't want to give me anything, and I'm truly not asking you to. I'm like, however, if you want me to expand on a topic, I can't do that if you don't say anything. And plus, when I do readings, I'm not even looking at the person, so it's like I can't even like go off of like that they want me to expand based on like a facial expression. I'm staring down and away, so it's like I'm not even looking at them. And what I've learned about myself, and trust me, people humble you real fast. I mean, like on those podcast reviews, people humble you like real fast, and they're like, this kid doesn't shut up. Like he does a reading, and the person can't even like answer. But I've trained myself in that way because of those readings. Like people just don't say anything, so I just keep picking up, and I just keep going, and so I don't even know what to do. I don't know what's right or wrong. So I'm still
I think
learning.
it's easier that way. When
Yeah.
people are talking and they start telling me stories, I'm like, don't tell me the story yet. I got more information. I want to validate for you that they're here.
Exactly, exactly. But then that at like sometimes, what's funny is you'll do that, then you'll stop and you'll stare at them because you want to hear the story after you delivered everything, and they're like, "Do you want me to talk?" And you're like, "Yeah, like this is the time to talk." Like, you know what I mean? Like this is the time to talk.
100%.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? It's so funny.
Or they'll just look at you and be like, yes. And you're like, okay, but a little more.
Yeah, like that would be cool. Like today I had a reading and I was like, I said who's, and they're like, mm-hmm. I'm like, okay. So like the way I do it is I go by family tree. So I see where the name lines up. So I'm like, oh, this is your cousin. And they're like, mm-hmm. I'm like, okay.
You took the say yes, no, or I don't know very seriously.
Yeah. And then like I like said something about like I brought up mental health and the like someone who suffers from like addiction. They said nothing, like nothing. So I'm like, I know what I'm seeing, but like whatever. I'm not going to argue with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I never argue with anyone. I'm like, all right. And I just move on. And then she goes, yeah, was an alcoholic. Like, yeah.
Was bringing that in for you there.
Yeah.
But...
I was like, okay. I'm like, whatever. Like, I used to get really mad by that stuff. I used to get really mad. I'm like, well, not mad at the person. I would just be like, why couldn't you just like say that? Like, you know what I mean? But now I just don't let that bother me. I'm just like, whatever. Like, it is what it is,
You're better off. I actually just recorded an episode that's going to come out in June that's not for mediums. It's how to be a good sitter. And it basically goes into all the things we just talked about. It's like, don't yell at me if nobody comes through that you want to talk to.
That's right.
Please be nice. Also, give me some information sometimes, but not too much.
Oh my God.
Because they need to hear it too.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. I love that. Love it, love it, love it.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. Because I was like, I went back and I actually like re-recorded and added a few things because I was like, I forgot this is very important.
Yeah. You're like, wait, like this needs to be said for those people. Like,
yeah, I don't need to record another episode, but we got 2 more things that need to be on here.
Yes. Oh my God. That's amazing.
Thank you. If you could give any advice to future mediums and or your younger self,
Ooh.
What would you be? What would you say?
So for the other mediums, I would definitely say, like the one thing I struggled with, it was like accepting the gift. I think is like something I had trouble with. Like not that I didn't want it, but I was just very afraid about it. And I think like how people would look at me about it, like my friends and family. But like another big thing that I wish I could like do like for or tell other mediums is trust what you're seeing, honestly. Like I know sometimes people doubt themselves, like I do it, and I'm sure everyone does, but you're seeing something for a reason. It may not make sense in the moment, but it makes sense later on for yourself or for whoever you're reading. And for my younger self, like, I wish I could have just embraced it more. Like instead of just like thinking what I perceived was normal, which was like playing sports, going to parties in high school and stuff. And not that any of that's wrong, but like I was just too afraid to talk about it and too afraid to even, really, really dive into it. And I kind of wish I did a little bit earlier on. And that's like my thing. It's like I always think about that, but I can't look back but like I can't look back with regret, but I can like try to help people that like are on the fence if they should do it or not do it, or if they're like struggling with what they're seeing, like if they're like looking at something, doing a reading for someone, and the person's just being a dick and they're just like saying no all the time, and or they're saying I don't know, no, I don't know, no. My advice, because I used to get very discouraged from that, and I'm assuming it's probably like a likewise feeling for like a lot of us and stuff. You're right, they're wrong, and I know it sounds crazy, and I'm not trying to, obviously cause like an issue with like your client or something, but like most of the time they're not thinking like on the spot, and most of the time sometimes people just cannot connect the dots in that moment. So don't ever like question yourself. Like what you're seeing is what you're seeing, and that's like a pure fact. And I wish I can help more people with that, honestly, because it's tough. I mean, like I don't know if you face that. Like sometimes when like I'm, especially in the beginning, like when I was like learning this language per se, and I was like explaining to people what I was seeing because I didn't really understand what it meant, but like I know what I was seeing, and they kept saying, "I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means," and I would leave the reading being so hard on myself and being like, "I don't know." I'm like, "I don't know." I'm like, "I don't know." Like, am I seeing things? Am I not seeing things? And I'm learned from doing it for a while. Most times they will email you back. They will do something, be like, "Shit, man! Like when you were saying this, like I didn't think, and that means that, and I wish I could have thought about it so I could talk about it more." So just always trust yourself. That's my thing. That's my thing. Trust yourself. I know it's stupid
I
and
love that.
cliche. So like,
No, but it is so hard when you're getting all these, quick flashes of images and you're hearing words and you're giving them to someone
yeah,
and they're looking at you. I know when that happens to me, my vibration immediately goes down because I'm like, oh no, I'm in the wrong spot. So it's so nice to be able to trust yourself, and I think that's, as cliche it is, it's amazing advice because it's so true. That's what you need to do. You just need to
yeah,
say, this is what I'm seeing, and maybe you'll understand it later, maybe you'll understand it in the future, maybe you won't, but this is what they're telling me.
yeah. Because like you know what, like most times than not, they will piece it together. It may not be next week, and it may be a month or two from when you speak to them, but most of the time they always piece it together. So like, I don't know, like I just want people to like stick to their guns. You don't have to be like rude about sticking to your guns, obviously, but you can definitely stick to your guns to your being like, this is what I see, write it down or whatever, and let's move on. But like, don't like harp on it. I always tell people, I'm like, just don't harp on it. It's not that big of a deal. And then again, what always happens is they reach out and they're like, "Oh shit, man!" Like blah 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 blah. And I don't know. I don't want people to be discouraged because someone can't think on the spot. You know what I'm saying? And also, don't be discouraged too. I hate. And I don't know if you have this. I fucking hate when people come and the first thing you click on for the reading or you whatever, and they're like, if you don't tell me this one specific thing, then like I don't know, man. And I was like, I always joke, I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay. like then I always say, I'm like, then this isn't for you, man. And they're like, why? And I'm like, well, because like it doesn't come initially like when you want that one specific thing to come. It can come in 30 minutes or 40 minutes or whenever. But I'm like, for you to like jump on and say that, I'm like, bro, like you like I don't know if you experience that. It's so weird. Like just sit back and enjoy, you know?
Yeah. You could get validation in other ways, and then at the end, someone could tie it in, or maybe that one person. It's
Exactly.
so true. I feel like it's a nervous thing with some people.
Yeah.
And, maybe I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I feel
No.
like they're so nervous that they're like, I need to know that this is real before I start, so I can relax into it. But it doesn't always work that way.
Exactly, exactly. And I've been reading a lot of men too, and like they they come in so hard and then they leave so soft. Like it's like a very weird I don't know how to explain it. It's a very weird transition, I guess, cuz like they come in and you're like my tone changes when I talk to them because I'm like, I have to be a little bit more stern. Like I can't be like softer with it just because I feel like if I'm softer with it, then they think I'm second guessing. I don't want them to think I'm second guessing. But then eventually, things turn. So, and I don't know if you noticed this, but lately a lot more men are into this. Like a lot more, like people that people don't think that are into it. It's been an interesting turn, and again, I'm sure you've experienced it too. So it's like so weird. Like it's cool. It's cool to see.
I volunteer with my local fire department, and I was terrified to tell anyone. For 4 years, I kept it to myself. I didn't tell anyone, so I was like, they're going to be so weird about it. And the amount of men that have come up to me and they're like, could you give me a reading, but could we not tell anyone about it? And I'm like, I'm never going to tell anyone about
Yeah,
it. But it's all the people that like, those older guys that are like big and macho. And I'm like, okay, I can. Yeah,
that's
sure. And
awesome.
yeah, okay.
Wait,
Like I wasn't expecting it.
I'm so jealous. I try to do my local fire department and they're like not bringing people on. I'm so jealous. That's so cool. And no, but you're right. A lot of them that come to me are like special forces, like a SEAL, like ex SEALs, Deltas, like whatever people know about like special forces, and they are like we don't want to tell anyone, like what I mean. So they like have their wife like set it up, but then they come. It's very interesting. You are right though. Like a lot of the older generation now that are men are doing this. Like it's crazy. It's cool though. It's cool.
They did. And when I first started, I actually said to my mentor, I was like, can I be a little sexist here? Can I not read men? Because you're right. They come in so hard and they're very closed off initially because they're nervous about it.
Yep.
So I was like, I don't want to read them. They're hard to read. But then at the end, they soften up and it's so much easier. So
It's
it's much more relaxing.
and then they have your back, right? Like they'll like sing your
Yep.
praises until like the day that they die, and it's like it's like I kind of wish they came in with that same vibe because then like everything would have been so
Yeah.
like different. But you know what? Like it's just so great. Like I'm just so thankful that there's so many people like you out there that are helping people. Like it's so nice. It's so cool. It's so cool.
I mean, listen, you're doing all this police work from what I heard. You're doing all of it volunteer as well.
Yeah, I am. I don't charge.
So you're really helping people. That's pretty incredible. And
Uh,
you're in demand. You're all over the world. They're looking for you. So that's I mean,
it's
that is
it's
awesome.
yeah, it's humbling. It's humbling. I never thought that that would be it. A funny story, and I'm sorry to bore you with it, but I would go out to LA and I was with a big talent agency like years ago. Like they found me a long time ago through reading a celebrity, right? It's like he's like, you need to meet this kid, blah 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 blah. So I fly out there, we talk, and they were like, Teresa does this, Tyler does this. Like, what do you do? Like that's literally what they like said, right? And I was like, I don't know, man. I'm like, I don't know. He goes, you like read law enforcement, right? And I was like, yeah. He goes, do that. And for the longest time, I said no to telling people about it because I was like, I don't need people to know what I do, like helping them. Like, I don't need that. And then eventually, like, I worked on a couple big cases that went, like, that were really big. And then people found out that I do that. And then it just became like my identity, like with everything. Like literally people are like, you're the true crime kid. I'm like, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like,
I didn't even really know that was like an option or a thing that you could do until I started following you. So I mean, I'm very jealous. I would love to,
yeah.
just like you'd like to get into the fire department aspect, that's something I strive to do one day. And out of
Yeah.
curiosity, I know it kind of, from what I've heard from you, it
Yeah.
it kind of fell in your lap a little bit. Like you had some friends, they validated you,
Yeah,
they recommended you.
definitely.
Do you have any recommendations for anyone that might be in law enforcement with, the mediumship abilities that's looking to really pursue it or
Like that's a
outside of law enforcement?
that's a current PO right now or someone that because if you're a current PO, I think the hardest part about that is like separating what you do from your job. Like that's what I learned
Mm.
because it's kind of like you can't really do both at the same time. You're either investigating or you're an asset to them. It's like one of the two. In that like when you're investigating a crime, like it's hard to do both and I'm sure you can. I just haven't really like figured out how you could do both, and I'm sure there is a way. I just don't know. But from an out, like if you were to go in, right? Like if you were to start helping out, and I'm sure you will. Like I'm definitely sure you will, because like trust me when I tell you, there's so many cases for so many people, and there's so many law enforcement agencies and police, officers, detectives, like caseworkers all over the country and all over the world that need people like you. So like trust me, you will get reached out to. Um, I will say, like, it did fall in my lap a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, like, it definitely did. And I had to prove myself. Like that was the biggest thing. Like, it fell in my lap, but then it was proving my worth to the most skeptical people out there. Like, that's just what it was. But I do think, like, if you want to get into that, I'm sure you know people. I mean, I'm sure you know a cop. I'm sure you know a detective. I'm sure you know quite a few, especially if you're a
I mean,
volunteer.
I work with a lot of them with the fire department,
Ex-
but for anyone that might not work with them,
oh,
I didn't know if there was a way they could.
it's tough. I mean, I'm sure you can. There's like two things, right? It's kind of like if they hear about you, right? Then they're gonna
Okay.
be very curious about you, or it's really who you know. Like that's just like what it comes down to. Like because if you're gonna have to have someone vouch for you. Like there's no way for you to get your foot in that door unless it's you're solving crimes on your own or keeping cases open or whatever. But I will encourage people that if you do work on true crime cases, just from my experience, like make sure there's law enforcement attached. Like don't go rogue. Like do not go rogue because it's so dangerous and you can mess up investigations so fast. And trust me, I probably fell to a victim of that like many times of like helping families that I didn't follow the correct procedure about it. But I'm I mean, I just I hope you and other mediums like know that there's so many people that need you out there to do that too, aside from the normal readings and aside from giving closure and stuff. And I'm more than happy to connect you with some of those guys if you want to pursue the true crime route or true crime. But like if you want to pursue like the law enforcement route, I would be happy to connect you to like some FBI and some whoever. And I will say this, it's very stressful. Like I like want to sometimes rip the hair out of my head. I come back to my house and I'm like, I need to sit down. Like, it's like one of those where I need to sit in silence like for a while. So I think if you don't know someone, keep doing readings because eventually it's going to connect to someone who is law enforcement. It just happens. Like, there's no way. And then you prove your worth. Like, that's what I did. Like, and that's what I feel like people do in every job probably. But yeah, if you want to
I
go,
also feel like it's destiny, like.
it might be. It might be. I always wanted to do military, always wanted to do that stuff. So it was kind of I think my path, whether I wanted it or not, honestly. And that's okay. I'm more than happy to be doing it, and I'm blessed to be doing it. I literally, like, it's crazy. Yesterday, Australian police, like, speaking with them about a case, it's like, you try not to laugh because of like their like terms. They kept calling people blokes and stuff, and I was just like, oh my god. I'm I'm like I have to be serious. I'm like serious face. I'm like serious, serious, serious. But I'm like this is like great. Like I was like whoa, but yeah, no. I mean, I'm telling you, like for people out there, like law enforcement are open to this. You just have to find the right ones, and you also have to find people that will give you the shot. Like that's all you need is just that one shot and I believe you can get that easily. And again, more than happy to help if you want. Only if you want to do it. It's up to you. It's super
I
stressful.
would definitely be interested. I'm always stressed. I mean, I feel like I could probably handle it, but I'm sure it's very stressful. And actually, that was one of the questions I had written down for you
Yeah,
and it's a two-parter
yeah.
is because you just said how stressful it is. What do you do for self-care for yourself after these stressful events? And did you have to take any classes to deal with like victims? Because there's a lot there. There's a lot to put on you. Do you have to go through anything for that?
So that's a good question. So the classes part, I actually didn't. I think they kind of just like they trusted because I dealt with so many clients of people that I knew how to deal with like very intense situations. And plus, a lot of the times when I do this stuff, it's recorded with them so they see how I handle the room too. So it's like if I can handle the room properly of like delivering intense messages like softly, but still getting my point across and stuff, then I'm sure that they would have things that I would have to do to correct that, to go to classes or whatever. And I'm open to do it. It's not that I'm not open. They just haven't told me that I had to yet. So I haven't. But for me, for stress, to like when I'm done talking to like about a murderer and stuff, and all that, and serial killers, I'm very big into like working out. I'm very big into like going on walks, as silly as that sounds. And Brazilian jiu-jitsu is a something that I do like often now. Like I did it for a long time before, took a long pause, now I'm back at it. And it's nice to go in there, do what you gotta do in the when you're grappling or rolling, and come out and you feel like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a good workout, but then it's also like, it's not like you're going in there to hurt someone like in a stress thing because you're so stressed. It's just you're doing something that's super intricate and stuff. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's just such a stress relief for me. And then obviously the typical stuff. Like I love going out with my friends, having fun at bars and stuff, playing volleyball, on the beach. You're from Long Island as well too, right?
Yeah.
We all go and just have a few drinks on the beach, play volleyball, and just chill. Like it's like stuff like that I love doing. I love being with people and getting my mind off of stuff all the time.
Do you get, now that I feel like you're well known, do people like stop you a lot and
It's
be like, oh
funny.
my God, can you read me or anything like that?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I would say it's like a yes and a no. Like sometimes people will come up to me, and then a lot of times people stare at me. So like they don't come up to me. They hope I go up to them. I guess like they'll stare at me to make like eye contact with me, and hoping that like because of that I'm gonna go up to you and be like blah 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 blah's here, like like, and say something. So I try to just like avoid eye contact with people unless I like know them. So I'm like, you know, I'm like it's so weird. Like, but it's nice, and again, it's nice that people know who I am. Like, it is very nice, and I'm very humbled by it. So
I just have one more question for you. Anything that you wish more people would know about mediumship or about mediums in particular? Like maybe just because you stare at me doesn't mean I'm going to give you a reading kind of thing.
yeah, I think that people think like we're like weirdos, um, and like
Yeah.
I think people think you know people like the one thing I always get is like I'm very unassuming, right? Like people always like, I cannot picture you being a medium. And I always say to people, I'm like, what does a medium like look like? Like I don't understand like what does a medium look like to you? And they obviously always go back to Teresa because she's like, very out there and stuff. But it's I think people need to know like we're normal people. Like we just are blessed that we're able to do this, and we're blessed that we have this ability to connect. Like everyone can do what we do. It's just like, I'd always use this reference, like everyone can sing, but not everyone can sing like Frank Sinatra. So it's like we all can do this. So like you and I can just sing a little bit better than some people. But I always say like we're normal people. Like you can have a normal conversation with us. Like you don't need to always like tailor it to like mediumship. You don't always need to tailor it to something like that. Like you can talk to me about anything. Um, and yeah, I mean, I just want to be treated like a normal dude. Like, if I wasn't doing this, I would be a cop. So it's like, talk to me like that. Like, talk to me how you would talk to a normal person at a bar. Like, don't talk to me like, this kid thinks he can see dead people, so I want to like decipher his brain right now and see like what it is. Like, I don't know. Like, we're literally like anyone on the street could be a medium. No one knows. Nobody knows. So it's like you can walk past someone who you're like, that's an investment banker, and it turns out that it's this huge medium and whatever. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I just think people need to give people the benefit of the doubt with this too. And people are now. Like I will say people are way more accepting, way more open to it. And I don't know if you agree with this, I just say sit down with us for 10 to 15 minutes and then let us change your mind. Like don't go into something so closed off. That's my thing. Just give
I
us an
love that.
opportunity.
I love that. I'm still very weird when people ask me questions about mediumship, I think because I hid it for so long.
Yeah.
That when people are like, "Oh, so tell me about it." I like put my head down and I'm like, "Yeah, it's fun. It's cool. I'm really enjoying I'm helping people." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm still weird about it, so I'm trying to get there. But even those guys in the firehouse, like I had probably like 5 or 6 guys come up to me and they were like, "Oh, I see people in my dreams that
Yeah.
that I've known before," or
Yeah.
I'll talk to someone and then I'll hear their favorite song on the radio so I know they're with me. And I'm
Yes.
like, you can do this too. Like you can definitely develop this if you wanted to. Anyone really can.
No, it's so true. And like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was like after COVID or something, or during COVID, because that's when I noticed the biggest switch with it. Like I was doing it a few years before, like publicly, and that's when I was going to like Los Angeles and like, trying to put myself out there, like flying back and forth and stuff. And I noticed that before COVID, it was more convincing, like way more like you had to convince, like it was there was no like whatever, like you had to go into a meeting, do the reading, and convince them that this is real, convince them. And now after COVID, it's more like everyone's like, yeah, like I believe like there's something more than this, like I've had this experience. And it's unfortunate that we had to go through like a tragic era to like get to that. But I do think that there's a huge shift. I always talk about it with like people all the time. I'm like, the people like I read like military before, but I'm telling you, like special forces guys, like ex SEALs, like people that I'm like, why are you here? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I know why they're here, but what I mean is, it's like you would think of. I think majority of people think women come to mediums,
Yep.
and when they hear that I work with law enforcement where I read like 50% men, 50% women, like that's like my thing. And people are like, really? 50% men? And I'm like, well, yeah, I think there's a change. I'm like, I really truly believe that there's a change. And I'm sure you see that too. And it does seem like you do. So it's for everyone. It's awesome. It is so
I
cool.
think TikTok made a huge change, oddly enough. And when like the rise of TikTok and everyone started talking about spiritual things, I
Yeah.
think that that really made it more okay.
Yeah, TikTok is like such a weird spot. I stay away from it now. I like it definitely helped me a lot, and then I'm like I'm gonna be careful on here. Like these people are like nuts. Like
Yes. I'm a scroller. I'm a 20-minute a day scroller, and that is my time limit, and
yeah,
that is it.
I
That's about it.
I wish I could say that. I'm like way more. I'm like an hour. I'm like I get into these like watching dog videos or something. And I'm like I love it. I'm in it. But yeah, no, I'm just happy that you're doing this, and I'm so thankful that you're helping so many people. Like and I'm thankful that you honestly like accepted this gift too, because I can speak from my experience where I hid it for a very long time. I didn't want people to know. That's why I go by Jonathan Mark. But when I was doing this with my mom's friends or friends of friends or people I didn't know, I didn't want them to know my last name. I didn't even want social media because I was like, I don't want people to be able to like look back and see like I was like, nah. And then now everything is social media related. So
Wow. Actually, I'm sorry. I do have one more question because that actually sparked a question in me. When
please,
you now work on these
yeah,
cases, do you have to worry? I know you're working with law
yeah.
enforcement, but now that you have this social media presence, also, do you ever worry about retaliation from anyone or anything, or do you not have that kind of fear around it?
So when I post those clips or post on the podcast and stuff, I'll never say names of people that they need to look into. So I don't think I'll always bleep it out, or I just won't say it like on camera. And then when we're not recording, I tell the detectives and I send them what they need and stuff. But I do worry about it. But like I try to be so careful where like if I'm talking about a case, you won't know who I'm talking about, but the person who I'm speaking to knows because we'll bleep it out or we'll tell them. But that is a good thing. Like I am a little nervous about that, but I feel like I'm trying to do my best to protect it all with it, and I hope I'm doing a good job. I mean, only time will tell, I guess. But um, yeah, that's been a thought for a while. That's been a big thought because I'm starting to work on more like high profile cases and stuff. And they want the attention. Like the police want you to put that case out there because a lot of these cases that I'm working on are from small towns. So they're not
Mm.
from like, Manhattan. They're not from like LA, Miami, some from Texas, but a lot of them are like, you know, put it out there and like, let's see if we get tips from people. Like put it out there. Let's see if like these internet people can connect the dots to things. Like do that. So they want the attention. Like trust me.
Yeah.
Like it's a big thing.
They got to give you some kind of protection if they want it out there that bad.
I know. I know. I know. I really do think like I'm okay. I think because like again I bleep out the names. So like even if I'm talking about someone, I don't even think that they know that I'm talking about them.
I feel like you're going to be okay, but
Yeah.
I'm a worrier about
Yeah,
everyone.
no,
So
I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it. And then when you start doing like stuff that it's like, bigger, right? Like us, like bigger than like a kind of like a TV show, right? Like if you do a TV show, like that's when I would want the protection. It's like when you're putting it on national TV and stuff, like that's when I'm like, okay. Because I was very nervous with a case that I did, like my first case back on my podcast. I aided in the arrest within like 48 hours with like one of the cases, and it went national. And I was like, shit. I'm like, I didn't expect that, and I didn't expect that case to do that, obviously. And I was like, it's in Texas, so they would have to come all the way to like New York, whatever. But like, there's still like an opportunity for someone. Like, if someone is that headstrong on it, they'll do something. So like, that's what I was afraid of, is that someone would see red and just do something. I was really nervous about
yeah.
that.
At the end of the day, though, you are just communicating with spirit. You are not the one arresting them. You are not the one saying that they are guilty.
And like that's the biggest thing. I'll never point a finger. Like even when I'm working behind closed doors and stuff, I'll be like, you need to look more into this person. That's what I say. Because when it's recorded and if they have to play it, not in court, because I'm not admissible in court or anything, but like when they kind of review it with like other detectives, I don't want them to be like, well, this kid said this directly. It's like, no, like you just need to look into this person more, and that's it. Like, do with that what you will. Like, I just try to be very careful with like how I phrase things with to like people. I used to just say it. I'll be like, this fucking guy, man, like, and then I was like, nah,
Gotta be careful with my words
yeah,
here.
I'm like, I gotta be a little bit careful now. So like, I'm like, you need to tone it back. You need to tone it back.
Thank you so much for taking the
Oh my
time
God.
today. And thank you. You even volunteered to spend 20 minutes on your vacation with us. So very grateful. Thank you so much.
No,
I can't say thank you enough.
no, thank you for having me. This is amazing.
For those interested in experiencing a reading, Jonathan offers personal sessions, including in person, Zoom, or telephone consultations, accommodating individuals or small groups. He emphasizes that he does not seek prior information about his clients, allowing him to provide specific details about their past, present, and future and connect with those who have crossed over. You can visit jonathanmark.net, listen to his podcast, Connect with Jonathan Mark, or follow him on Instagram at Jonathan Mark Medium. We're very grateful that he was able to take the time to speak to us today. As always, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts and let me know on Instagram or Facebook how you liked this episode. You can always find me at The Developing Medium.